Howdy, y'all. It's day 33 on the CT, and barring some sort of disaster, this should be my last day on the CT. I've got 10 miles to go, so almost there, and it's actually almost all downhill. Pretty exciting. But I wanted to recap yesterday. Pretty interesting day. Try to keep it succinct, but so started out in the middle of that really dry area, and had to carry water through that. But I had about 8 miles or 7 miles to go to get to where there should be water, based on some of the northbound people coming through. Although it might be scoopable, they said, only scoopable, as opposed to being, having a nice flow somewhere. But anyway, so that's a nice part of the hike, actually. There's lots of campsites, some with like views that I had, some that are just really nice and flat amongst the trees. So even though there's no water, you have to dry camp. It's very nice. And that was you're going along this ridge that kind of goes through the trees and then pops out, and you get nice views and back through the trees. It kind of reminded me of that section 16 that I really didn't like, because the views weren't so great and the trees were not very great. But these were pretty trees with nice undergrowth and everything, and varied stuff. So that was cool, varied plants. Then, I met this woman, and just kind of said hi, and somehow she indicated that she was turning around on the Colorado Trail, and she made it 29 miles left to Durango and turned around, mainly because she didn't want to go over yet another pass with high altitude. And I can understand, they're tough climbs and it's a little sketchy with weather sometimes. And it turns out this one is a bit, a lot. Not necessarily climbing, but you're exposed for quite a bit up there above tree line. So I can understand that, but she was just not going to do it. And she had already arranged to have a friend. I even asked her, if somebody went with you, would that be better? I was thinking, shoot, I'll help this girl up there. She's so close. But she was determined that she wasn't going to do it. And she said she'd been having these kind of things over all the passes since Lake Ann. If it was that strong for that whole time, I mean, kudos to her for getting there. She did say she was going to get her picture by the sign to say she'd done it, kind of thing. And she said she did both the Collegiate West and Collegiate East. So from a mileage perspective, she felt like she got it. But as I looked at it later, I mean, this is actually kind of a really significant part of the trail, the Highline Trail, where it overlaps with the Colorado Trail. And it's like not a crux of it, but so I don't know. Claiming that you've done the CT without doing that section seems I wouldn't do it. Let's just put it that way. There's all sorts of... Anyway, I won't go into that. So I felt bummed out for her, but let's see, what else? So went up to the climb, past some other southbound hikers. They were probably in their 50s, but I just kind of blew by them because at this point I was looking at how far the climb was and how exposed, and knew there was potential for storms, and so wanted to move on and get up there quick. So I blew both those guys, didn't really talk to them much. They were probably about my age. Got up there, and then I saw that it was the Highline Trail. Now, I didn't really realize that until then, and I had read about the Highline Trail and all sorts of warnings about how exposed it is, and definitely need to be cautious about the weather. So there already were sort of thunderstorms in the area, not right there. And speaking of which, there's some more thunder. So we've been getting like more monsoon weather lately, these past now 3 days, and around noon the thunderstorms start and it starts raining, which is the typical sort of monsoon pattern. Fortunately, I'm going all downhill, so I'll just get wet. Or half the time the precipitation is just hail and it bounces off you and you don't get wet, so that's kind of nice. At least small hail. Anyway, so I got up to the Highline, and I could see that there were plenty of bailout points, looking at the map as well as just from what I could see, so that if a thunderstorm did pop up right on me, I'd be able to get down into the tree line and be relatively safe. So I booked it. And there were a few exposed sections, but I just kind of like went through those really fast. And then at the last bailout point, I realized, this thunderstorm seems to be getting closer. A lot of thunder. I better hit the bailout point. So I dropped down into the trees, started hailing on me. Again, small hail, no big deal. I found, a good tree, protected, and just kind of sat there for a while. I think I even fell asleep for a little bit while I was just sitting there. The storm passed, I think, pretty much right over the high points that I was going to go. So I think it was a good call not to go forward. And waited, the thunder started dissipating, decided it was good to go. So I went out, still overcast, still a little rainy, but no thunder. There was one thunder boom as I started, but that was well off, and I could see that storm was dissipating. So I went for it, because from that point there was about 2 miles worth of pretty exposed thing. I mean, this Highline Trail is like taking you along these ridges with beautiful views, but not the best place to be when there's potential bad weather. But I judged it well, and only got a teeny little bit of rain on me. There was tons of hail up there as I was going up the trails and stuff, but again, small pieces, but yeah, none on me. So made it over that part, got down to Taylor Lake area, which is beautiful. I've got a video, I'm gonna post that, because it was quintessential San Juan Mountains. Gorgeous. So a great way to kind of like cap off the trail. Kind of that vision in my head of how beautiful that is. So as I got down, I met some folks from the Welcome Center in Durango, and they were giving tours, and they asked if I was doing the Colorado Trail, and they said, oh, come by, we got a patch for you, and we can tell you all the places that people will give you free stuff like beer or some sort of breakfast thing for finishing. So there's some perks. That's a lot of work for those, but yeah, so that's cool. And they were real nice, so I'll have to stop by there. And then I found Brandon. They were at the trailhead, Brandon and Rick. And so he had just been going really fast, and I just could never catch him. So it wasn't like he got a ride or anything like I was speculating. I think I speculated on the video, I can't remember. But they did kind of lose Snack Box. So if you remember, he was the guy that was gonna be doing the trail with all the vintage gear. And I guess he got spooked by the weather. I think they went through some rougher weather than I did. And so he was gonna take a different trail. But he had his wife around, so she may have kind of bailed him out somewhere or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, I forgot to ask him. I saw him again today and forgot to ask him what happened with him. Maybe they still don't know. But anyway, it was good to know that he made it back to their group fine. I was sure he would, but he was just moving fast, so I was impressed. Let's see. So he even said that John and Joe, which are John I hiked with a lot, and Joe, who I'd met, were ahead of me, but I never caught them. So there was a pass to go over there, then I went down, and then it's in this gorge, and there weren't a whole lot of campsite selections, and I had been thinking I'd do about 17 miles, and there was a campsite that looked really good, but I couldn't find it based on the far out description, and I had passed by a couple other ones, so I had to keep going. So I ended up, before I found a good camp spot, doing about 21.7 miles. So it looks like, although I didn't do, my first day is gonna be the highest total mile count of 22. Although I came very close on a couple other days, including yesterday. Let's see. Camping there was fine. And because it was right next to a little creek there, so it's pretty cool. And I think that's it. So bye for now, and look forward to my final recap of day 33. All right, bye.